Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, we're taking a look at an absolute tragic case all around, right? Well, I guess the fact that this woman ended up finally getting charged and she got sentenced and everything for the horrific crimes that she did commit, but, I mean, this is just another one of these tragic stories. It seems like they happen a little bit more frequently than people would like for them to, but another example of one of these channels on YouTube where it's like a family channel or a mom and kids channel, whatever it may be, right? Where things just go terribly wrong, where in the background, behind the camera, behind the videos, behind all the online stuff, some pretty terrible things were taking place. And we've seen parents who are obviously just using their children as free income on YouTube. We've seen cases like this where the parents end up being horribly abusive and violent to their kids. It just, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where for me, obviously I've been doing YouTube for a long time, right? But I've never seen, I think at least, a single example of one of these family channels where things have gone well, where at the end of the story, when the book is finally closed, when everyone can look back on it, that people are like, oh yeah, that went well. You know, those kids are pretty reasonably adjusted. You know, they turned out pretty normal. Or the parents, they turned out pretty good, right? They totally weren't just using their children for money and fame. So this story is revolving around Ruby Franke. I think I covered a bit of this a long time ago when everything was still kind of fresh in the court and everything. But Ruby Franke was a mother, and she was also one of the two people, I guess, that ran the now deleted YouTube channel called 8 Passengers, okay? So she was accused of and has now been convicted of pretty heinous, horrific things towards her kids. And it's pretty disturbing, honestly. If you're a victim of childhood abuse, I would genuinely second guess maybe watching the parts where we go into detail about some of the stuff that happens, because I mean it's pretty fucked up. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, Ruby Franke, a mother and popular web personality who pleaded guilty last year to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse, was sentenced to 4 consecutive sentences of 1 to 15 years in a Utah prison on Tuesday. "My charges are just," Franke said at the sentencing. Quote, "They offer safety to my family, accountability to the public, and they did show mercy to me." Franke, 42, had vlogged the abuse of her children on her now deleted YouTube channel 8 Passengers. She was arrested in August after her 12-year-old son ran away and asked a neighbor to call police. Franke was initially charged with 6 counts, but pleaded not guilty to 2 of the counts as part of a plea deal to testify against her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, who was also charged with aggravated child abuse, but also reached a plea agreement, a prosecutor said. The abuse included denying Franke's children food and water, kicking her son while wearing boots, and depriving him of oxygen, according to court documents. Franke told her children the punishments were needed for them to be obedient and repent, the court documents said. They also stated she, quote, intentionally or knowingly inflicted and allowed another adult to inflict serious physical injuries. Quote, "For the last 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion," Franke said. "My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me." Hildebrandt was also sentenced Tuesday and received the same sentences. They each have 30 days to file an appeal, the judge said. So, I mean, all around just a tragic situation, right? Like, these kids, there's no deserving in any of this. I mean, when you look at what was being done, right, like, it seems like the mom tries to frame it like, oh, I had to punish them to make them obey my order or whatever. I needed them to listen to me, right? But I mean, like I said, just taking a look at what happened here, like what was being done to these kids, denying them food and water. I mean, come on, that's basic human needs. And depriving him of oxygen, basic human needs. You would kill this poor child if you did that for even a few minutes, right? Kicking the kid while wearing boots, physically abusing him. I mean, Jesus Christ, right? Like, these are just, it's fucking disgusting. People like this, I know this is why we have the courts. I know we have them to punish people and, you know, to levy out sentences and whatnot that we believe are just for crimes. But honestly, when it comes to children and it comes to defenseless people like this, in my opinion, there is not a punishment that is deserving enough for certain people. I mean, of course, there's people who beat up adults and, you know, harm adults, deprive them of their needs and whatnot. But, you know, to do it to a child, to a 12-year-old boy who simply cannot defend himself, has no comprehension of what's going on, why it's being done, anything, right? Like it's one of those things where people genuinely deserve to burn in hell for, right? Like I'm not a super religious guy or anything, but when you hear the stories of like hell being hot and like, you know, people going where they need to go, right? This is the type of person that immediately comes to mind, because I mean, I don't even understand like how you could do this like consciously. You know, this is your child. This is someone you created, you helped bring into the world. And what, over a little fucking YouTube paycheck or whatever, not only are you abusing your child, but you're allowing your business partner to abuse your kid as well. It's just, it's really disturbing what people will do, the extents that they will go to when money and fame and status and whatnot is involved. I mean, for someone like this woman here being the, I guess, mom of a YouTube channel, not only is it bringing in, I would assume for them, solid income, right? Solid ad revenue and stuff, but I'm sure she probably also enjoyed the social perks of it, right? You know, people maybe recognizing her at the store or her friends and family being proud of whatever it may be, right? There's so many different things, but no matter what the outcome was, there's no ends to justify the means here, you know? This is just flat out terrible. And honestly, I don't buy her little excuse here, you know, I followed counsel that led me to a dark delusion. I had a distorted version of reality that went unchecked. To me, this does not sound like accountability. Now, it's very, I think, thinly veiled and worded almost as if it's like an apology or we're saying sorry for something here, but really we're not. You know, this is not something that really even sort of in any way addresses what happened. I mean, at this point, you know, you're basically blaming other people for your actions. You're blaming delusions for your actions when it's clear that is not what led this happening, right? That's not what happened here, you know? Parents don't just be chilling one day and the next thing you know, someone's like, hey, let's beat the fuck out your kid. And then they're like, you know what? I have the paddle right here. Let's get down on bro. Like that doesn't ever happen. That's not what's going on here, right? Like you had to have that hate, that evil in your heart to pull this off in the first place. It wasn't no, oh, I got led wrong by some bad counsel. Nah, fuck all that, man. You knew exactly what you were doing. You knew exactly what kind of things you were doing and what they could do to that kid. I really don't want to hear all the excuses on that bullshit, right? Oh, I had a distorted version of reality. Yeah, it's crazy you didn't have one of those distorted versions of reality where you don't starve your child or you don't deprive him of fucking oxygen. Like, I don't even understand that, right? Like, because her explanation here is, oh, I was just trying to teach these kids how to be obedient and to listen and whatnot, right? And then they say, oh yeah, she was fucking choking out her kid or like not letting him breathe or whatever it may be, right? Like, I don't know, man, what kind of obedience, I guess, is that really teaching? Are you trying to teach there? That sounds like some shit they do in like SEAL Team 6 training to get you acclimated to the war, you know? That is not some type of shit you do to a 12-year-old child for a YouTube vlog, right? Now, it says in the article, at least, that she had vlogged the abuse of her children on this channel. I don't really know if that's true. I didn't watch the channel before, you know, all this news came out or anything. I really don't know too much about the backstory in terms of like what kind of videos were uploaded there. It wouldn't be the first time that something like that's happened. If you don't remember, it's probably been 7 years by now, if I'm remembering correctly, just off the numbers. The Daddy-O-5 situation, right? Where these parents were basically filming themselves doing cruel pranks and mean shit to their kids and putting it on YouTube. And really nobody batted an eye for a long time until people finally started speaking out and it started catching waves or whatever. But like for a minute there, man, they were just uploading this shit. Nobody was saying anything. So I don't know if that's kind of like what was going on here or if they were just kind of being more tame and like keeping the crazy, horrible things in the background. I really don't know. But ultimately, it's a pretty crazy and scary thing, right? Like, I hate to be that guy because it's kind of, you know, accusatory or whatever, right? But how many of these parent-kid channels kind of things, how many times is this happening, right? Like, if we do a capita of like 100 parent and family channels, out of those 100 channels, how many of them have parents that are abusing the kids in the background or doing some like really weird shit, right? I hate to say it, but man, like I really feel like the number is drastically higher than we should be comfortable with. And I'm not saying like people shouldn't be allowed to make this kind of content, but I'm just saying for me personally, and I recommend this for you too, when I see channels like this and I see people making content kind of down this road, down this avenue, I'm sorry, but I immediately side-eye you. And it's not because, you know, every person who makes these kinds of videos is some sort of child-abusing psychopath, but it's because it's just a perfect type of content for the weirdos to get into. It's a perfect medium boulevard, whatever it may be, for these psychopaths to not only exert control over their own children and get financially rewarded for doing so, but to also encourage other people to behave like them. Because, you know, this is one of those family channels or whatever that's going on. A lot of the people watching these videos are parents, they're moms that are watching these videos with their kids or whatever, right? And that's what these people are doing. They're making family videos, influencing people. Then next thing you know, in the background, you got just all this terrible shit going on. And it's like, it's not like, oh, I called it, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, I would have definitely thought that if this was happening anywhere on YouTube, it'd be on a channel like this. So it's just such a scary thought, like how many of these children just go through horrible things, and not even just on YouTube, like so many millions of kids yearly, right, are just dealing with terrible people in their lives that are causing them untold amounts of harm, that are hurting them, hurting their development. It's fucking tragic. It really is, man. So in this situation, it appears that the people responsible for all of this are definitely going to get theirs, right? They're going to get what they deserve here. This woman was sentenced to 4 consecutive prison terms, 60 years. I mean, she is, I would assume, a middle-aged woman, anywhere from like 30 to 50, right? Pretty broad stroke of the brush, I get it, but I mean, just to do the math, right? Let's say you're 30, 60 years in prison, you're not getting out until you're 90 years old. And that's even if you're alive at 90 years old, right? And at that point, what kind of life do you really have? You get to be the lunatic at the old folks home eating fucking pudding 3 times a day that beat their kids up and got sentenced to basically life. Like, wow, what an existence, man. You never get to see your children ever again, I would assume, right? I mean, this 12-year-old boy ran from home and had to ask a neighbor to call police, right? I would assume he doesn't have the most positive image of this woman. Hopefully not. This poor kid does not deserve to ever have to be around her again. And I mean, she's gonna be in fucking jail, so I really don't think bro is about to just be showing up at the courthouse like, hey mom, remember that time you tried to choke me out in the backyard because I got the outro wrong to a YouTube video? I don't really see that happening. So, I mean, and of course, that's just like if you're 30. If she's like 40, 45, whatever it may be, bro, she might as well get the fucking coffin store on the phone right now and start picking out a plot in that graveyard behind the prison to go to, because I really don't ever see her stepping foot in the real world ever again, right? So, I don't know, dude. It's an almost deserving way for this whole situation to wrap up, but it highlights the real problem at hand, man. Like, truthfully, right, when it comes to YouTubers, you really don't know who these people are in real life pretty much ever. And I mean, that goes for everybody. That goes for me, man. I know there's a lot of people who watch my videos, oh, Optimus is awesome, he's a great dude, right? You have no idea. That's the scariest part about the internet. I have no idea who any of you are, what you do in your personal life, what type of crazy shit you're up to. You don't know the same thing about me, but yet in situations like this, you know, people garner all these followers and all these fans, and then you hear stories like this where they turn out to be just being horrible people, just being terrible to their children or whatever, right? It's just a very wild and disturbing reality, man. So anyway, I just wanted to update you guys on this situation, kind of give some closure to this whole story. Like I said, I think I covered this when it kind of first started happening back in August or whatever, right? But now obviously that the whole court sentencing things happened, I wanted to just touch up on it again. So with that being said, man, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubTheOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about this terrible mom, and signing out. And that's a wrap on this video, but a big shout out to my Optimus Nation supporters. You guys are the real MVPs here. Your support with just $10 a month unlocks a treasure trove of exclusive videos, constantly updated, archived live stream VODs, and early access to all new uploads. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.